Hello, welcome to 2023, and of course, just 5 mins. Wow, it really is a new year already. So, what have we got today? Well, it's one of those mundane sort of topics in some ways, in a lot of ways, if you're not into networking and all the admin side of that. But we're talking VPNs and tunneling, not like the dwarfs in Lord of the Rings or anything, but yeah, it just occurred to me. I've been using a few tools and services out there over the years, and there's not necessarily new ones, but ones that maybe people haven't heard of. And first of all is really VPNs. There's lots of options out there, but as a good free option, I came across, I think from good old Scott Hanselman from Microsoft, for all the sort of stuff he does. And he sort of, on one of his blogs or one of his, I think it was at one of the NDC conferences maybe, but he mentioned Tailscale. I'll put the links in the show notes, of course. And Tailscale, I must admit, I'm not an IT expert or a security expert, so you've got to do your own work here to check that this is okay for you. But from a VPN perspective, there's it's really good. If you want, like I've got an online Windows server VM and a couple of other bits and pieces, and you can install the Tailscale app basically on all the types of machines, Linux, Mac, Windows, of course, and it will sit in the tray or wherever it is on the relevant system, and you can basically just lock everything down. So it was especially good for the Windows Server Online, because obviously that tends to be one of those services that gets hit quite a lot, and touch wood, it's been pretty secure, but that could just be because I'm not really doing anything major on there. But the great thing is, coupled up with things like RDP for that Windows server, for instance, I've updated the firewall basically to only go through the Tailscale VPN. So it's very easy. It's got a really nice interface. Excellent. It's worth having a look at. It's free. They've got a free plan. I forget the details. It's the usual thing. You've probably got a set of the basic options, but the basic options for most people are probably going to be okay. They also have something called Magic DNS, where when you've got Tailscale running on all of your machines at home, or even if they're not at home, like some in the cloud, it sets up its own DNS for you as well, which is really cool. You don't need a DNS server or anything like that. So that's another little addition. But the other thing, and this is where we get into the second part of this, is the tunnels. So if you're a developer, or you've got other reasons to be able to you want to get access through the internet to your machines, it's always been one of those things where, through firewalls and using those dynamic DNS services that are out there. But again, Tailscale, you've got a funnel. They call it Tailscale funnel. It is at the time of this recording in alpha. So for this one, yeah, you're going to have to do some reading and check it out yourself. But essentially, they give you, it's a reverse proxy, which essentially means practically Tailscale will give you a public DNS, so you can have your machine dot whatever it is. So it's a proper address, and it'll tunnel down into your machine without having to worry about all the firewalls and such like that. Again, you've got to do your own research here about what you expose, of course, and all the usual security stuff. But that looks like a really good one. It is alpha at the moment of the time of this recording, but there's a couple of others that I've used. One is ngrok.io, and I've used that for a long time actually. It did have there was a bit of a bad press about a year or two back where it seemed to be that it was easy to sort of hack or something like that. But again, I didn't really have any major issues. It's certainly come a long way. It's worth having a look at that. I'll put the links again in the show notes. And it's another way of being able to get a public URL to come in, especially if you're doing some development and you want to get it, visible on the internet, or you've got other services. And the final one, even though we've run over the 5 minutes, is basically Cloudflare. So Cloudflare, the big, they do all the DDoS stuff and everything now, it seems to be. So you've probably heard of Cloudflare from different areas, but again, they've got tunnels as well. Obviously, by the looks of things, you can get a free version, but it's worth having a look. They, out of all of these, I guess, seem to be the bigger one, and there's lots of others out there, I'm sure. You can let me know. But the Cloudflare one, certainly for tunneling into your infrastructure. I mean, for me, it's if I've got some development stuff and I want to show someone or have access to it temporarily, then this is why we're using a reverse proxy, a tunnel down into your machine or machines. But yeah, so it's worth a look at. These are only 3 out of what would be, I presume, hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens, hundreds of thousands of these things. But these are the ones I've been using and trying. The Tailscale one, I must admit, looks really good, but it is sort of alpha/beta at the moment. And ngrok, of course, very easy to get into if you do want to work with this sort of stuff. So that's what I've got for this time. We'll see you in the next one.